Alright guys, hope you're all doing well, hope you're all keeping safe. It's pretty hot here in the UK. I mean, it's what, 24 degrees. For some of you guys that's probably quite cold, but here in the UK that's roasting, and I'm in this room and gotta have the window closed as much as I can to make this video, otherwise you're gonna hear loads of outside noise. So yeah, I kind of want to just get this one over and done with, guys, but I wanted to get this out to you because I've done a lot of videos recently where I've kind of went over all the leaks and stuff for the Division Heartlands. But I'm actually giving you kind of my feedback or my thoughts on it. So now that I've had time to kind of think about where I'm at, I wanted to kind of give you my impressions and go over that stuff. Now, of course, this is going to contain spoilers, so if you don't want to know what's coming with Heartlands, then highly recommend you kind of switch off now. Like the video before you do, but you know, head on out. I really appreciate it. And I would also recommend you go check out my last couple of videos if you haven't checked them out, where I talked about everything Heartland that we know of so far. The 2 new game modes, crafting, hunters, the rogue encounters, or the rogue mechanics that appear to be in the new game modes like Expedition, Survival 2.0, with kind of like this Battle Royale stuff in there, and so much more. So highly recommend you go check that out. But with that said so far, let's actually go over my impressions of the game. Alright, so I'm not going to be able to go over everything, of course, because it will take ages, and I may do multiple videos. I don't really know yet, but I want to start off with the two biggest things from what we found out so far, and that's the 2 game modes. So that's Expeditions and Storm. Now, my understanding is that with Expeditions, you actually have to do that first. You have to do a certain amount, or you have to complete it. I'm not totally sure at this point before you get access to Storm. Expeditions is the PvE only Survival 2.0 game mode. Storm being the PvEVP mode, where it's 15 teams are free, it's 45 players, and it has Battle Royale type game mode at the end if you do not manage to fire flare and actually get out of the mode or win the mode in the time allotted to kind of each team. Now, I don't think it's any surprise that Ubisoft decided to go ahead and kind of make a standalone survival game with the amount of love that survival has received since its inception back in the Division. Now, I think a lot of people are disappointed that we didn't get survival in the Division 2. I think for the most part, people were just generally disappointed there was no game modes. I think a lot of people were disappointed with the direction the developers took from the Division 1 to the Division 2, because if you play the Division 1 and the Division 2, you soon realise that they're both almost feel like completely different games, and that was a decision the devs obviously made, and there's some stuff with the Division 2 I love, some stuff with the Division 2 I don't love, and likewise with the Division 1. But so here they decided, you know what, we're going to make almost like a Dark Zone survival game mode in Expeditions, and almost a Dark Zone Battle Royale experience with Storm, with that PvP stuff involved. Now, with Expeditions, it has all of the elements that we liked from Survival, where it's got crafting, it's got the finding gear, it's got weapons, and ultimately it's got the firing of a flare to leave the mode, and you know, you can get swarmed by enemies and stuff. Now, my understanding is it also has hunters in there, and there's also going to be rogue mechanics. Now, rogue mechanics are not new. We know how they work in the Division 2. Now, I don't know if they're going to work exactly the same as they do in the Division 2 as in Heartlands. I presume they kind of will, where you might go to, say, a shade beacon or something like that, and there'll be that chance where you could get rogue mechanics or rogues turn up. Hunters, again, I don't know how they come into it. I think they're probably going to be a rare spawn. I would presume they're going to be a rare spawn when firing a flare. Now, from what we've seen from the footage, they're not every time, and that's what I mean by a rare spawn, and I want it to be that way. I think that's a good thing if that's the way they're going. I do want hunters to be a rare spawn, especially because from my understanding, hunters will drop vanity items and stuff like that, and there needs to be that kind of ultra rare gear. There needs to be that's something that you keep playing for. Sorry about that, dog's barking, just had to close the window. But as I was saying, I do think we need kind of that rarity, and I hope that hunters will offer that with their gear and their spawns and stuff. So that's pretty cool. The biggest difference I've seen from the alpha, from survival in the Division 1 and the survival that's being added here is the environment. Not so sure that I like the environment so much in Heartlands as I did in the Division 1. That may change. It's obviously only an alpha, but from what I can tell, it's obviously akin to the Division 2's kind of environment where it's not, there's no snow and it's quite bright. It may be that they add the kind of DC 62 kind of like almost like the sandstorms that we got from the Division 2, and if they add that in, I think that might be, it'll be better. I don't think it's ever going to be as comparable to the Division 1. So if there is anything that I would like to see them change at this point, it would be that. It would be the just the climate, the environment, that sort of stuff. But aside from that, I mean, from what I can tell, in terms of survivalness, it's very similar to the Division 1. Now, there are some differences. So the first difference is that there's going to be a filter system, a mask filter system. And I might talk about this in another video because I'm already reading problems about this filter system. Now, I actually timed the filter system based on the footage that we saw. And from what I can tell, the filter that you put in, it takes roughly 2 minutes in just normal contaminated areas. Now, the whole map is contaminated in Expeditions and Storm, I believe. So it takes roughly 2 minutes. Now, if you go into a higher contaminated area, I think it's less, obviously, but 2 minutes it appears to be kind of the time where you need to go and change that filter. And for each filter that you get, it does require materials. Now, the problems I'm hearing is that, well, ultimately what it turned into is a filter simulator where, for the most part, all you are concerned about is getting filters. Now, I hope that's not the case, and I hope that with feedback they change that and they extend that, the amount of time that your filter lasts, because the last thing you want is just to be going from destination to destination just to get materials, just to do filters. I think, again, we want those survival mechanics, but we don't want it to be so survivally. I don't think that's a word, but oh well, it fits. We don't want it to be so survivally that you're just not doing anything else. You're not focusing on trying to find gear. You're not focusing on trying to get to certain areas, that sort of stuff, because you're too focused on those filters. Now, I don't know if there is a filter rarity system. It would make sense that there would be, because there's rarity in the game as there is in all Division games. There was rarity in terms of gear and weapons and stuff. If there is a rarity system, then that would make sense. You initially start off with that kind of 2 minute cooldown before you start to get poison on. But that obviously, depending on what filters you find and the materials required, that can be extended. With that said, guys, what I will say is when I timed the poison meter, it was about 8 minutes. So in total, you have about 10 minutes to go from either a shade beacon to a shade beacon where you can actually cleanse the poison. I think it's called something else, but you can cleanse the poison at a shade beacon with materials, or you have 10 minutes to find another filter, basically. So if that's the case, then I think that's fine, but I'm just telling you what I've seen. I do like the filter system. I think it adds somewhat different that we've not had before in the Division. Now, I appreciate it's been in Ghost Recon before, but as somewhat new to the Division, I think that's pretty good. The other thing that's obviously new here is our loadouts. Now, I've heard conflicting messages about this. So loadouts are either going to be something you can spawn in with once you've actually extracted gear, okay, or they're going to be something that you can you kind of pay for in the game. Not pay for as in, it's almost like Warzone, where you get a certain amount of materials, a certain amount of stuff, and then you can actually, the loadout will fall down and you can take it up and take it with you into that mode. I don't know which one it is, but either way, there are loadouts in Expeditions. I believe there's 6 loadouts that we've seen. So that's new. That's not something we had in Survival before. And again, it's not quite survival, because if you can get a loadout, then it's not really there. It's not really survival at that point. But it does have those survival elements because of the filter and stuff like that. So it's not so much survival from the Division 1, and it's more so a survival that you would expect from any other type of survival game like DayZ or something like that. Similar to those kind of survival type games. Now, let's talk about Storm. We don't know hardly anything about Storm at this point. There's only been a little bit of footage in terms of Storm. So this is the PvEVP mode. I think it sounds cool. 15 teams are free, and there's 45 players, so it's going to be pretty... I presume the map's going to be pretty large, and I think that'll be pretty cool. Now, I hope they add in duos and solos at some point, because at the moment there aren't that, but I hope they do add it in. As someone who likes to play solo a lot and rarely likes to play with other people, I just enjoy my own experience, if that makes sense. There are times I like to play with other people. For the most part, I'm a solo player. I would hate to have to miss out on the PvP experience because of there not being a solo queue or a duo queue. Now, if it is just going to be trios and that's it, I don't mind as long as there's matchmaking. Now, I don't know if there is, but I hope there is, because, like, for example, Apex Legends, I didn't mind being in a group with that. When I play Battle Royale on that, I actually like Apex Legends. I didn't mind that because I could kind of just matchmake with any random team and it would be fine. So I hope that that's something in Storm. I think it probably will be. Like Expeditions, the goal is to extract. So I think you have to find. I think there's like 2 things that you have to find. If you find one, you then have to extract at 2 different locations. I think there's only 2 different locations you can extract from, and then you have to obviously fire a flare and you have to extract. And if you're the first team to extract, I believe you win that particular match. My understanding is, as well from the information we know, is that if no team gets to that point within a certain period of time, then basically a ring forms where the teams have to make it to that ring, and it becomes a very similar Battle Royale type experience where you have to defeat the other team. Now, unlike Battle Royale modes, the Storm, or the real kind of bad poison or contamination within that circle actually floats around, and that's obviously unique to this Heartlands game, but it floats around like it's being traveling by air. It's completely random, is my understanding. There's no kind of designated circles that you have to run to like Fortnite or Warzone or whatever. So that's different, and I quite like that. I like that they're not just going with the same formula that other games are going with, and they're trying something different. And I think that's cool. And I think if it's always going to be random like that, then you can always kind of expect it to be different almost every game. And I don't mind having that kind of Battle Royale experience right at the end. I think anyone who goes into Storm will want that PvP experience. That's what it's there for. So having that at the end, because teams have been unable to actually extract due to either PvP or just not doing it in the time allotted, I think that's a good thing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. The only thing I don't like about the PvP stuff that I'm reading is mainly that chicken dancing might really be back, similar to how it was in the Division 1. I've heard it's not quite as bad as Division 1, but it's definitely there. So I'm not keen on that. With that said, if the PvP is good, then I'm not going to really bother too much. The thing is, I go back to Division 1 and I think, did I enjoy PvP in the Division 1? And I did. It was broken and there was metas and whatever, but it was fun. So if the Heartlands has that fun experience, whether it's got chicken dancing or not, it doesn't really bother me too much as long as it's fun. And I think that's the ultimate goal. From what I'm seeing so far, from what I'm reading from people who have actually been playing this, I think everyone, especially PvP players that maybe don't play the Division 2 for PvP, who've got access to the alpha, everyone's saying it's good. They're not giving a lot away, but everyone's excited from what I can tell. And that has me excited. Considering I don't know hardly anything about the PvP experience in Heartlands, I'm excited for it based on what other people are kind of saying. So that's good, because I've missed PvP in the Division. I played it a lot in the Division 1, especially the Dark Zone. And I've literally not touched PvP in the Division 2. Dark Zone, whatever. It's just not a fun experience. And I would hope that Red Storm have learnt their lessons from the Division 2, and they've gone back to somewhat more akin to the Division 1, where fun is top of the ladder rather than this kind of real competitive experience. But that's it, guys. That's my kind of take on the game modes. Now, obviously, there's a lot more stuff that we know about that I want to talk about, but as you can tell, the video's already gone on for long enough. So that's kind of my impressions on the 2 game modes. I'm not surprised to see these 2 game modes, and from what I'm seeing and from what I've covered and what people are telling me, I'm excited to see where this game might go. I really am. So that's it. Thanks very much for watching. Until the next one, Epic out.